The Tick. It's one of my favorite shows. When I tell people that, they go like, when you were a kid, right? And I go, no. I mean, currently, succinctly, right at this second, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. And The Tick does all of those so effectively, it's kind of scary. Following the path laid forward by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Tick was an independent underground comic that got turned into an animated series. It follows The Tick, a superhero in the city, with his sidekick, Arthur. I rewatched the first episode and I have some thoughts. Does it hold up? Heck yeah, it does. But I knew that already. I had rewatched it like last year. So what's a reoccurring gimmick in The Tick is it starts off with these black box interviews with The Tick and Arthur about what life is like as a superhero. And in the very first episode, The Tick tells us how he became a superhero in the city. And like all great adventures, this starts in Reno. He had to apply at a competition, and the judges gave him the city. One thing I love about The Tick is that it kind of nails realistic superheroes. I know that sounds weird because Tick is such a weird show, but instead of the Justice League, who has this high-tech satellite where all the heroes meet, The Tick, the greatest superheroes meet in a convention hall in Reno that they probably had to rent out. What's so great about this show is it constantly mines humor and even sometimes pathos from having the characters work these normal, everyday jobs. Take The Tick's loyal sidekick, Arthur. Despite how he looks, he's actually a moth, not a bunny, even though people mistake him for that all the time. When we first meet Arthur, he's working as an accountant and finds himself unable to take off the moth suit. This disturbs his boss at the accounting firm greatly. That's a lot of individualism Arthur is showing there, and he gets fired quick from being an accountant. Hence, meeting with The Tick, Arthur's destiny calls him forward as a superhero. Sidekick. In many ways, The Tick is never actually about The Tick. It's always been more about Arthur himself and him adjusting to the weird, if somewhat grimy world that is superheroes. And The Tick pretty quickly cons his way into living in Arthur's apartment and sleeping on Arthur's couch. Thus, the epic destiny and adventures of Arthur and The Tick call forward. Of course, this is a superhero story, and every superhero needs to fight some crime. And the first villains that Arthur and The Tick face are the Idea Men. The Idea Men are a gang of bank robbers who have been cutting a swath of destruction across the city. They wear these sharp suits and have masks. Funny bit with them is that they're the Idea Men and they present themselves as like cool and sophisticated. They actually come off as really stupid. Like, nobody can hear them through the masks. They have to resort to writing things down. And spoiler alert, when The Tick finally starts beating them up to figure out what their plan is, and spoiler alert, when The Tick finally confronts them and starts hitting them with his mighty fists, they reveal that their cunning supervillain plan is to rob banks so that they can get a lot of money so that they don't ever have to work again. I did mention that they were trying to blow up a dam, right? That's their plan. One thing that's funny about The Tick is periodically throughout the show, you will meet other sorts of superheroes. Particular favorite, the Human Bullet, whose whole bit is that he's like a barbecue suburban dad who periodically has his son and sidekick, Fire Me Boy, shoot him out of a cannon. And every time we see him, we get a little slice into his life. And he honestly comes off like a dad who is maybe going through a huge midlife crisis and bought a cannon and dressed up like a bullet. Or take another guy that's introduced in this episode, Big Shot. Yes, they have a flippin' Punisher character in the middle of a kid's cartoon. And again, for realism, because The Tick is the most realistic superhero show ever, Big Shot immediately breaks down crying because he's far too much of an emotional wreck to actually do anything. And The Tick honestly gives him pretty solid advice that he should go seek therapy. And weirdly, you must follow me on this. This is going to be a through line in another episode. So keep a hold on this when we get there. And of course, here's another great example of side characters that they introduce. This is Deflator Mouse and American Maid, respectively, Batman and Wonder Woman parody. These two are going to be reoccurring major side characters in the show. Deflator Mouse's whole gimmick is he's kind of a cowardly douche who really likes the appearance of being a superhero, but doesn't seem to ever want to do it. And American Maid is probably the only other competent superhero in the city besides The Tick, although she loves America and will do whatever it takes to help America. Anyways, the city is saved, the world is set right, and young Sean gets very excited anytime the show pops up on rotation. If you've never seen this version of The Tick, please seek it out. It's on YouTube right now. It's been there for years and nobody seems to care to take it down. Although, a bit of warning when trying to look up videos about the tick. Half of them are going to be about the cartoon character. The other half are going to be videos of actual ticks. And yeah, fair warning on that. Do not scroll too far. Ba-wee, ba-wee, wee, ow.